Welcome to the British Comic Heroes podcast with James, Bod, and your host for this evening, Alan Raymond Walsh. Do we want to talk about Countdown?
I found it interesting. I thought some of the TV tie-in things were really interesting. And one thing that interested me, just by the by, is the Pertwee strip, which starts off with him saying that should do it, which is the line used by Sylvester McCoy in the TV movie, when he's just sort of fixing the TARDIS before the Master gets out, basically. So it was kind of like a weird coincidence that the sort of things fitted together. I thought the art style was good and remarkably good and true to the look of Mr. Pertwee himself there. There's no sense of the villain yet, and I thought that was they're building a little bit of a mystery there, but it could have. You have this sort of little robot thing or scanner thing that detects him. But I know it was pretty good. Whereas compared to the stuff that was done in the 70s in some of the Doctor Who annuals, they were hilarious because famously the artist who drew some of the strips couldn't be bothered to look at photo references, so the companion was just basically literally drawn as his girlfriend at the time. So you look at the likenesses, they don't look like Liz Sladen at all. They don't look like Romana, and you're going that, and the reason for this was he just couldn't be bothered.
Well, I thought they just didn't have the photo references. If you could apply that to Gold Key Star Trek, where they had Italian artists.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't think they'd maybe had a couple of publicity stills, but you get some really interesting odd things with it.
Transporter rooms, or the engines being rockets.
Just to plug this in, I don't think we've done this on BCH. Ron Turner did a Star Trek strip in, I think, a Joe 90 annual. Can't tell you what year that was, probably 68, maybe 69. He's obviously used Gold Key as a reference for his strip, so he's actually used the Gold Key transporter room in his British strip. So given Star Trek didn't air in the UK till 69, maybe 1970, certainly not in colour. Or if you had a colour, obviously, if you had a colour TV set, presumably, it would have been in colour. But I didn't know anyone that had a colour set in the early 70s. So unless you had colour, so you have these discrepancies with colours of the shirts, and the Enterprise having rockets rather than warp engines.
Or wearing the backpacks for an away mission. Stuff like
I love that. I love that idea. They got back. They don't have pockets.
It makes a lot more sense than what actually being down with.
So it's just funny what feeds on itself.
Well, it's like they did that in Doctor Who. That famously when the company got the license to make the Rollickin, the little model Dalek, they didn't get proper plans from the BBC, so they just basically did an artist's impression of it. So the panels on the Rollickin Dalek are wrong. It doesn't come to a point at the big front. It's got a flat panel, right? And what happened was when another company got the license to make the Dalek Fairground rides, which our friend Alex has got a couple of, they didn't have the plans either. So what they did, they went out and bought some Rollickin Daleks and they physically scaled them up. So they're exactly Rollickin Daleks but scaled up with all the errors that are there from an artist's impression in the first place. So it's exactly that thing of Chinese whispers and people cutting.
Is that like how the Corgi Daleks weren't quite right as well?
Possibly. To be honest, Corgi often smudge things in order to avoid certain licensing issues. It's like the reason why, for example, I believe, so I've been told, their Thunderbird 2 was a kind of turquoisey colour as opposed to the correct green. It was kind of like smudging these things.
That was the reissue of that from it's been about 75, 76. But then if you know anything about the dinky Air Force, it's just like the Eagle Transporter couldn't be white because it's a boring colour, so it would be green. The UFO Interceptor was metallic green; it couldn't be white. Which used to annoy me as a kid because it wasn't the colour.
Exactly. That's not screen accurate.
So I think I think what you're talking about with Thunderbird 2, I think it was green originally, but it was this more turquoisey blue thing when they reissued the model. So whether there was repeats on ITV. Anyways, to get back on track,
back to Countdown.
This is going to go. This is going to go to 2 episodes so far. You might be thinking, no, please stop now. There's definitely another one coming. Right, we've got Dastardly and Muttley. I actually quite like the fact you've got some variation
comic
in the
relief.
comic. It's going to be what's on TV at the
Yeah, yeah,
time,
yeah.
so it is a little bit of a time capsule.
It did occur to me that, well, of course, and we've got to think that in this era, this was an era before, I mean, for our younger readers, you've got to remember that this was a time before even things like videotape existed. So when you saw this on the television, that was it. You
Yeah.
couldn't record it. You
No, that's true.
couldn't look back at what you'd seen, only what you remembered. You might, if you were very geeky and lucky, you might have recorded the soundtrack on a reel-to-reel, or maybe even a cassette or something. I was
Yeah.
watching The Black Hole the other night, and I know that film back to front because I recorded it
I love that film.
on C90, and so I know the soundtrack inside out on that.
Yeah, but there's obviously a 10-second thing we've had to turn the
Yeah,
tape over.
it is, and it's exactly at the moment where Ryan Hart says, so these engines, we are going through it, and it goes bzz, and then it suddenly cuts on mine, so every time it continues it throws me. But the thing is that, say, this stuff, I mean, this is really good artwork, I thought, on the UFO stuff. But then the
Can I
UFO
just-
also had strong visuals.
Can I just mention, as I mentioned to Bod earlier before we started the podcast, that British comics, they would typex out the name, so you wouldn't necessarily know who drew it. What I'm really liking about this strip, although I don't think there's a writer credit on this one, there is actually an artist credit on the UFO strip. So I'm definitely liking that.
I mean, so it's definitely a comic for Joey Anderson fans.
Yeah,
Sure,
you've got
there's some really good stuff in there.
You've got Thunderbirds in there as well. I don't know if that was a new strip. The art here is by Don Harley. I don't actually know the gentleman's art. This is the one I find interesting. Countdown. Now, just looking, James and Bod are probably going to get this straight away. Look at the images in panel 1 and 2. And
Yeah.
what do we think? In panel 3, in fact.
2001.
Yeah, 2001. that's
Absolute
it.
rip-off. It's the
Exactly what I
discovery,
was
discovery
thinking.
and how, no question.
And it
So-
does reference it there.
Yeah.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Again, I'm glad somebody's paying attention.
Yep.
It's just a very weird thing. You've got an original strip. It's using it's a different world, but you're using ship concepts from.
Yeah.
But I got a feeling they actually had to change this, although there's a credit here.
Yeah.
I got a feeling they had to change this as the strip went forward.
Sure.
Whether there was a rights issue or something had expired or whatever, but they had to change it.
I really like this being in there because it was so different to everything else that's in there. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really good.
It's a new strip, isn't it? It's not based on anything. One thing I did want to mention, and I think we probably have, you know this, James, I'm sure. Is there anything unusual in how the pages are numbered,
That I don't know.
James?
Were they the opposite of what you'd expect in terms of the layout from 1 to 2 sort of thing, from the what's left and right panels?
Right. So what are you saying?
I'm only speculating. I hadn't
Right.
noticed it
I'll
because I was reading it on a virtual thing. I didn't really spot
Okay.
that.
Okay. I actually know this, but the comic's called Countdown.
Yep. Ah, right.
Page numbering.
Backwards.
Correct.
There we go.
You see
Page
3
3.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So page 2, page 1. So we're on page. Going backwards, page 2 and page 1,
We're
which
on
is
Captain Scarlet now.
Captain Scarlet.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, another Anderson show, quite welcome.
So you got to
And the last page is
Dinky
Dinky
Toys.
Toys.
Well, that's
I
where
like the
Countdown.
F1 car there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Touch the old
And,
letters.
and the ultimate thing is a tractor by Leyland.
The Leyland
Right. Oh, yes.
384 tractor.
I actually had that.
Was it your favourite? I remember
I
seeing
did.
those as a kid in like car boot styles. They were all over the place. The wheels really
I
were.
loved it, and I think I had I don't know if it was a dinky one, but it might have been a Britain one where you had a little miniature combine harvester thing, and you'd put your little plastic bales of hay in, and as you move the vehicle along, the actual hay thing at the back would go up and down, and then it would plop out the.
Yeah. Bales.
Let's move on, shall we? No one wants to.
Welcome to
No one wants to hear this.
agriculture.
Agriculture
Welcome to
Weekly.
Country File.
Right, so next on our agenda will be the superheroes.
Yep.
The superheroes.
Anyone would like to say about the cover? It's obviously Jack Kirby. But
It's in
anyone
colour.
It is in colour.
Thank
yeah,
you.
You're
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, that's 1 point for Bod. Yeah. James, anything about that?
Well, obviously, it's had to be rebuilt for just to accommodate other things like the flashes showing things like the special bonus features in Uncanny X-Men. It's just got to be worked into there. First issue, collector's issue. Not sure beyond that.
What do you think it's sourced from?
So it's awesome. I'd have thought the original Silver Surfer first issue.
No.
No.
In fact, the first Silver Surfer comic, and in fact the initial run of comics were double-sized issues.
Oh, right.
So basically, the actual origin story is split over 2 issues,
Right.
issue 1, issue 2.
I was utterly gutted because at my friend Alex's shop, Type 40 Toys in Worthing, I missed out on Silver Surfer issue 3 for £1. And it was the first issue with Mephisto. I would have bitten someone's arm off for that.
I would have bought that for £1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just
I
couldn't believe
might have
it.
knocked him down to 50p.
Yes, exactly.
That's a joke, by the way.
I just
75p.
missed out on that, but yeah, I love the Surfer because the Surfer again was one of the first I became, and it was in the superheroes. I think it's issue 3 where the Badoon story is told.
Okay. Surprisingly enough, this is actually the cover to Fantastic Four 72.
Yeah,
James,
Lord.
you made an interesting comment about how they've got space to add
yeah,
the flashes on there. So you've got first collector's issue, the X-Men, blah blah blah. The actual Watcher was originally in that quarter.
good lord.
Now, where this scores over the original, just on a aesthetic
Yeah.
side, is the actual background on the Fantastic Four has a bit of a brown background tinge
Yeah.
to it. This is actually in colour, so you've got the there's colour on the planet. You've got a black
Well,
hole.
they're all
and-
classic Kirby cosmic imagery.
They are,
you've
yeah,
got the galaxy, you've got the power surges, all this kind of the dots and things to show crackles of energy. You've got the blaster like hand blast that he's doing there.
Yeah.
You've got the trail of the board. They're all classic elements there.
It's slightly off,
Yeah.
it's slightly skew-wit,
Yeah.
but it's like that on the original.
Yeah.
Just to add, this was obviously a reprint of the first Silver Surfer issue,
Yeah.
but it went over 2
Yeah.
British weeklies because of the page count. The actual second cover actually looks like it's an original as well,
Yeah.
but it isn't. It is actually made up of
Clever.
an internal Silver Surfer shot from, again, the Fantastic Four, and also an image of Galactus, which again is from another
Yeah.
internal image from the Fantastic Four
Wonderful.
comic. So somebody's put that together,
Yep.
and it was actually amazing. Right, we're going
I'm going
in.
to say 8p. I'd very happily spend that.
I remember buying this at a newsagent.
And doesn't Stan Lee look so young there?
I know,
He does.
that was the first thing that struck
Yeah.
me. 70s Stan Lee, no glasses,
Yeah.
the 70s hair and moustache. It's like, I've never seen him like that
Oh,
before.
He's got colour in his hair. Well,
Yeah.
it's obviously black and white here, but
Yeah.
He's getting a bit of Reed
Probably
Richards,
black and white now, isn't it?
little sort of like streaks in there.
But yeah,
And
I've never seen
yeah.
him look so young.
it's
Yeah.
actually the editorial here would suggest it says a personal message from Stan Lee. I've got no reason to doubt that he didn't write this for this British Weekly. Going into
Yeah.
perhaps James can clarify, how do you pronounce the
Buscema,
artist?
I'd have thought that.
Buscema?
Colin, I think so. Yeah, Buscema. Collins, you meant on that one, more than me. But again,
I'm loving how this looks
The
in black
super-
and white.
yeah.
The only comment I would say, and I would say this is actually a pretty good example, is it's not in black and white as such. You've got zipper tone on it.
Yeah.
And I'm really anti-zipper tone, but it's actually been quite sympathetic on this. It's not too dark.
Yep.
That's a fantastic image of the surfer.
Yep.
This is the splash page, by the way, of the surfer on page 3.
And this classic sort of facial expression of the surfer on.
Yeah.
I did practice drawing his head quite a lot, and really interesting the lines on him.
What I found interesting here, it's almost like they're being economical with the script. I mean, Bod mentioned earlier that he found a lot of the early Fantastic strips very wordy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But here, it's like the use of panels, it's like, maybe it's one issue worth of script that they've stretched to double the length.
Yeah.
But the art's fantastic. I love this
Yeah.
aircraft carrier, which is on page 6.
Yeah.
And you've got the crew. The detail here is
Look,
fantastic.
again, there's such energy in the way that they're moving.
It really comes to life,
Yeah.
Of course, you've got to stick the Russians in somewhere, so they
Yeah.
of course.
appear
And
in
not
page
very
7.
sympathetically, it must be said.
Well, they're not bothered. So I'll let them go and bother the Chinese. I'm not going to
Exactly.
bother to shoot them down.
But then,
But you've got this.
look at that tortured pathos on the
Yeah.
right side there.
I have to say, I thought the social commentary that was going on in this issue was really good, and the fact that it still resonates today, I thought, it speaks volumes for the quality of the writing on this title.
Notice also the kind of the mock heroic sort of exaggerations though. This tiny blessed sphere which men call earth, while trapped upon this world of madness stand I. How much longer am I destined to endure a fate even I can't even comprehend? You're going, yeah, get a sense of caution, mate, and you don't need to speak like a bad Shakespearean knockoff. But that's classically is part of the Marvel style. It's like it's like in Asgard they speak bad Shakespearean English.
Yes.
Not Norse. But again, look at that.
It's
cosmos.
classic. It's classic.
Cosmic art.
Classically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody did write this.
Oh,
not
yeah.
Roy Thomas,
No, very much it's him.
And it does remind me of
There he is.
Doctor Strange.
Norrin
as well.
Rad. Yeah, absolutely. The
Yeah.
cosmic imagery comes up really strongly in that.
Yeah.
Even more so because of the magical dimension. But yeah, there's Norrin Rad before he became the Surfer.
Okay,
Man, the amount of
moving-
times I've seen that story.
Going again. I'm actually liking the scene set on the alien planet. There's alien writing there.
Zen-La.
Page 10.
Because
I
I never
like
read
this.
this before, so I thought it was
Yeah.
fascinating stuff.
So it kind of plays against the fact that later you're used to seeing the surfers moving, with this incredible fluidity, and now he's relying on bulky technology as well.
And here, it really reminds me of something you would see in 2000 AD. Just the look and the detail that's in each panel. It really is superb.
But it's still very American in its style as well. In a way that
Yes,
the Brits
yes.
have a kind of different feel. I noticed that when we were looking at 2000. Oh, and again, the classic there they go. The surfer just happens to bump into the abominable snowman, the Yeti. Looking a bit miserable.
I'm just interested in how he looks like the Silver Surfer
Yeah.
when he's normal.
Yeah.
But he's just
So he's got
two
pupils.
eyes. Got eyes.
Got a bit of eyeshadow going on there.
It is an odd look, but
Yeah.
then he's an alien. But
Yeah.
but again, I think the British Weekly does show the clarity of the art. Look at that. This is actually quite.
And I remember this vividly because they throw him around. They can't do anything because basically he's used to the space lanes and things, but he just lets them beat him up.
As you do.
Yeah.
And then he does flashbacks. So this actually story to be revealed in Mighty World of Marvel 140.
Yeah.
So they're doing a flashback to a story that hasn't yet appeared in the Mighty World of Marvel. So that's where he.
I remember that.
I don't like his Hulk.
That story occurs in the where he encounters the Hulk. That occurs in the Grab Bag Christmas Treasury special, 1976. It's where the surfer, the Hulk sees the surfer out of a window and he remembers their encounter, and he remembers that one because it's the one where the surfer nearly cures the Hulk by removing the gamma corruption from him, but the Hulk wakes up and thinks he's being attacked and grabs the board.
Right.
And
Is that where he tries to break it in half?
that's it, yeah, and that's the shot we've just seen here.
Yeah.
That's that one there.
Okay.
So I was getting a real flashback from that.
Well, that's page 16.
Yeah, and then the great story when Doom seizes his power,
I think that's a
Classic
great
Doom.
but nothing compared to his hubris in mugging Galactus in Secret Wars. I was looking at that very frame today, and it's just iconic. But yeah, look at the it's just such a beautiful set of lines. He's like a living Oscar statue, isn't he?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
The
That's a good reference.
Yeah.
the last page, it's page 19.
Yeah.
They use this panel here, which is panel 1, which is a quite large panel, as the splash page for part 2. Next week it said, or next issue, Origin of the Silver Surfer. So we've got a nice house ad for the sister title that came out the same week, which we haven't actually told you about. We haven't told you what week this came out, which is very remiss of us. And it was the Savage Sword of Conan, which sadly only lasted 18 weeks.
Yeah. I
Which is
picked up
quite
a,
quick,
I
isn't
did
it,
pick
for,
up one, and I've got to say the line work in it is amazing.
And the link going back to Fantastic is,
I couldn't say. No.
well, God knows.
Do I?
Well, I told you earlier.
You told me earlier.
Right, the link between Fantastic and Savage Sword of Conan is Barry Windsor Smith.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, we will tell you when this came out. I'm going to have a quick look at the ad here. Can't read it really. 8th of March 1975. I did write my notes.
So I
left
found
them
it
behind.
fascinating looking at that because it was the way that the style is somewhat different from the superhero type, the Savage Sword of Conan. It's different from superhero art, and it's more detailed, darker, and the sense of atmosphere. And the sort of strength of barbarians is really, really interesting. And I just picked it up as a fluke in a batch of 70s type stuff that I came across, and I was really, really struck by it. I've got it framed.
It seemed like quite a mature title.
It was, yeah, really, really good. And I say because I'm surprised it only ran as short a distance as it did. To be honest.
Well, it did survive when it merged with the Avengers, and I think I'm not sure what issue it merged. Probably 98, round about there. but it ran right up until the last issue, which I think was 148. So
Yeah.
it survived as a strip, and then it survived as a strip in the Mighty World of Marvel, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
when it was the Avengers merged into that title.
There
The
you go.
backup strip, which is again another flashback to Fantastic issue 1,
Back to the
Is-
X-Men.
back to the X-Men,
of
and
course,
we've
a
got
flashback
the
to
Got our
the original.
credits.
the
Here we
art
go.
credits here,
Yeah.
and we've got a nice little bar down here, which
Somebody scraped the Tipex off.
yeah.
Yeah, reused.
I think this dialogue is intact. I think it does look like it's been.
Yeah, the use of the word appendage
Yeah.
is very telling.
Yes,
well,
because
yes, unleash my appendage.
because what's
you
interesting there
frosted
is
fool.
that it's the fact that firstly, so the new dialogue is, "Hey Beast, come here, I want to show this new trick I work with my frosting power." Then the dialogue from Beast is, "Unleash my appendage, you frosted fool." Now that's typically Hank McCoy. One, he
Yeah.
uses elevated language, and two,
Yeah.
he's using alliteration. The thing is with McCoy is he is intelligent, he's erudite, and
Was the original was it Lego?
Lego my
yeah,
arm.
what they've done is they've made him speak more like the Thing.
Yes.
He's using the dialogue patterns of the
Yeah.
Thing.
But then
And,
maybe,
and because he looks like a lumbering idiot, but he isn't. The whole point is that
No.
McCoy is actually one of the smartest people
but
in
I
the
think
X-Men.
that was the
Yes.
original intention.
You know,
of
this-
the
yeah,
characters, I
exactly,
suspect,
yeah.
yeah.
But he's playing against it, yeah.
Do we have the Kiss panel in this one? I assume we do. I can't
Mhm.
remember.
I don't think the yes, I think I should not. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we do have
I
this.
think
This
there's
was,
issue 2. There's
Yeah.
particular.
well, there's
or
two
the end of issue 1. rather.
There's two elements, and I think the kiss is actually in this one.
Yep,
It wasn't even fantastic. It was edited out.
yep,
Mm.
Here we go. Jean Grey turns up,
Yep.
and her
You know, not
white
green
skirt is
skirts.
now
yep.
grey.
Yeah.
Zipper tone.
Jean
Yes.
Grey.
There
Yeah.
we go. She's using her powers.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Pat
Yeah.
McCoy.
Hank attempts to cop a feel and have a
yeah,
snog.
and he, what's he come
And-
out with? Gadzooks.
Gadzooks,
Gadzooks,
exactly, yeah.
Oh, good old Gadzooks.
Oh, yes.
And ends up with a wump.
Yes.
You'll have to look at the page yourself. We're not explaining that. Okay, so that's fine. So that's all intact.
Enter Magneto.
Yeah. See, and again, that gives content to it that the Fantastic One didn't have because it lacked an antagonist.
Mm.
But fascinating. This again, I was talking to someone very early about this today. It's fascinating how at this stage Magneto is just a snarling megalomaniac villain with a great costume and a cool power. Whereas
Yeah.
he goes on to become one of the most complex and developed
Yeah.
characters in
Yeah.
X-Men because
Yeah.
they developed the idea of him being a Holocaust survivor. Brilliant done, I haven't say in the films because it then and I was fascinated because watching the film Logan recently, what fascinated me there was that it projected a really bleak future for the mutants, and it makes you think that Magneto was actually right. That basically that humanity is too afraid and hostile to the mutants. The mutants
Yeah.
really ought to be fighting back to preserve themselves. And it
That's a
shocked
really
me.
key point you raised there.
It was,
yeah.
quite fascinating.
just to dumb down the conversation a bit.
Indeed.
One thing that really struck me about the X-Men is how they. I suppose it's not unique to them, but to me, they always have a poorer class of villain, and they're all sort of gimmick villains. So, for example, Magneto starts
Yes.
off with power over metal. That's fine. You've got the Vanisher who can just disappear.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Blob who's just fat.
Yeah.
You can't move him. Then you've got
Yes.
was it Eunice the
Yes, the Untouchable.
the untouchable who you just can't touch.
True.
Him. You know what I mean? You've got a lot of these really odd gimmick villains, and there's got to be a gimmick way of defeating them.
Yeah.
I remember
When did
Hulk.
that die off, the gimmick villains?
I don't think they ever did. I think they. It's a bit like if you look at Spider-Man, you could argue, well, the Green Goblin's gimmick villain, the Vulture, the Sandman,
Yeah, Rhino,
Scorpion,
Electro.
right, yes, it's all whatever.
I
It's how you write them that makes them
I
interesting.
thought it was hilarious, and this occurred to me recently that there's an X-Man villain called Meccano, who basically it's hilarious.
Yes, and his sidekick Lego.
Exactly, yes. You never want to step on his shrapnel. But Meccano is a jobbing engineer who manages to knock up a powered exoskeleton, gives him super strength, and he takes on the entire X-Men. You're going, he's an unemployed engineer. How much tech or genius has this guy got, for God's sake? If I go out, I can't basically knock... It's like in Scooby-Doo. And there was a guy wandering around in Scooby-Doo. He had this suit that made him look like an electro monster, right? Zzz, zzz. You see it in the titles, and you're going... I wouldn't care about the treasure. I'd go and sell my technology.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I'd go into advertising, I think.
Exactly so.
It sounds like he needs to phone up Tony Stark and say, "I've got some great technology
exactly.
for you."
Let's go with this. But it is one thing. It's like again, it occurs to me now in class things, particularly in one of the Ant-Man strips. You had all these crap little sidekicks, and they've got ray guns. You know, seriously, you've got blaster rays. You know, you're rubbish. You know, you're a minor hood, and you've got a disintegrator ray. It's just ridiculous. It also, the Ant class made me laugh my head off because there's a wonderful shot which I have got somewhere, and it shows Ant-Man literally bragging about having the strength to punch his way out of a paper bag. And I thought that's not impressive.
When you're a size of the ant.
I think that's the story of the night.